You're watching KSTP Channel 5, St. Paul, Minneapolis. Now, live from your 24-hour news channel, Angela Astor, Mark Sapulsa, meteorologist Dave Dahl, Joe Schmidt with sports, and Stan Miller with Straight to the Point. This is Eyewitness News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. A wintertime tradition is under attack tonight for some of its traditions. Masked men grabbing women and smudging them with grease paint, young beauty carnival queens.
There's a lot of debate over whether this is blatantly sexist or just part of the carnival atmosphere.
Inga Hammond spent the day talking with people on both sides of the issue. She's live now in our newsroom. Inga?
Well, the Twin Cities branch of the National Organization for Women says it's going to actively protest this year's St. Paul Winter Carnival. With the Clarence Thomas hearings, they say the atmosphere is right to talk about sexual harassment. And with the eyes of the country focused on the Twin Cities because of the Super Bowl, they say the time is right to protest. They represent warmth and the coming of spring to the Winter Carnival. Dressed in red capes, Vulcans smudge grease paint on people's faces, showing King Boreas, the Winter King, that the crowd is on spring's side.
If you quit moving, I won't mark you.
It's just not acceptable to have that kind of imagery portrayed in our society any longer.
Barbara Bourne of Twin Cities Now says some of the Vulcans' actions must stop.
We've heard many comments of women who have been harassed, embarrassed, humiliated by the Vulcans.
What you see here is a complete collection except for, I think it's the 1916 Carnival button.
Tom Fenner's connection with Winter Carnival goes back more than 20 years. In 1990, he was the West Wind. In 83, Tom was a Vulcan.
In no way have the Vulcans ever tried to be offensive or to try to scare anybody. And if they see a child screaming or hollering or crying or so, a lot of times they'll go over and they'll talk to them and give them candy or something like that.
In this video from 1986, Vulcans visit a children's hospital. They make more than 200 such charitable appearances each year. Now activists are also protesting this, the Queen of Snows pageant.
A young woman is chosen based on her beauty, youth, poise, and a man is chosen based on his accomplishments.
But Winter Carnival officials say that isn't the case.
The whole pageant has always been based on one-on-one interviews with the judges, how well that woman can be a spokesperson for the city of St. Paul.
Winter Carnival officials say they have granted some of Now's requests. This year, for the first time, the Queen of Snows was open to all women, regardless of family status. In the past, only unwed women without children were able to enter, but that still doesn't satisfy the Now activists.
Inga, have the Now organizers decided which events they'll protest?
Well, they're meeting next Wednesday to discuss strategy, but they say tonight that they will definitely picket outside the Ice Castle.
All right, thank you, Inga. The contest between a Minneapolis neighborhood and a convicted prostitute is over tonight, and the neighborhood is claiming victory. The squabble is over the sale of a business once owned by convicted porn dealer Ferris Alexander. Neighbors were upset when a convicted prostitute tried to buy Angie's Sauna on Lake Street. But late today, a bankruptcy judge ruled the building will be sold to the city, a plan that pleases area residents.
If we can help them market it and find someone to occupy that space and lease space and become a viable business, that's much better for our neighborhood.
The city will pay $99,000 for the building.
Well, for most of us, it's come a little bit early this year. Not Christmas, but the snow and the woes that go along with it. Can you believe it? 61 inches of snow since October. Many say it's too much too soon, and it's beginning to take a toll on the nerves.
I think what happens is you start hibernating. You don't go out as much.
Rob Coleman says wave after wave of snowfall gets him down, but he has some advice for all of us on how to cope.
Put a big fire in the fireplace and get some hot chocolate.
Well, get the hot chocolate ready because more snow is now on the way. And is this a snow woe or what? As you can see from Skycam 5, heavy snow caused part of the Montgomery Ward's warehouse roof to collapse. More than 30 people were inside at the time, but luckily no one was injured.
Another winter weather danger is frostbite. Often victims suffer permanent damage. But Carolyn Brookter reports a local doctor may have found a way to treat the worst cases. We do want to warn you this story has some graphic pictures of frostbite.
What you are seeing are some of the most severe cases of frostbite. When a case has progressed to this point, the treatment is usually amputation. But now there's new hope. It's because of a study done by 2 doctors at the Hennepin County Medical Center Burn Unit. One of them is Dr. John Toomey.
And we've given these people a drug called TPA, which opens up these blood vessels, thus restoring blood flow to the digits and sometimes the entire limb that's been frozen.
TPA is the same drug used to help dissolve blood clots in heart attack victims. In the study done by Dr. Toomey and his colleague, the 4 people who received TPA did not require major amputation.
I think it has potential to significantly alter the course of a frostbite injury and how we treat them.
Dr. Toomey cautions that these results are very preliminary and more study needs to be done. He also says that the treatment is very dangerous and not for everyone. Still, if all goes well, it could be the first and the best treatment for severe frostbite. Carolyn Brookter, Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
And these are some of the symptoms of frostbite: a tingling, burning sensation, numbness, pale, cold skin, swelling, and blisters.
Around America, another emotional day in court for the woman accusing William Kennedy Smith of rape. Testifying in West Palm Beach, Florida today, the woman began to cry when the prosecutor asked her for details about the alleged rape.
When there was penetration, was it difficult or easy? Or was there pain involved?
It hurt me.
Would you like to have a few minutes to...
I'm dead, sir. I really want to get this over with, please.
Right. Would you rather have a few minutes before we proceed?
Sir, please help me get this over with, okay?
Later, reporters asked Smith if he thought the woman had convinced the jury. His response, "We'll find out." Joseph Sicipio says it's good to be back home. The former hostage arrived tonight in Philadelphia on a flight from the U.S. military hospital in Wiesbaden, Germany. Sicipio says he lost nearly 60 pounds during his 5 years in captivity, but he's in excellent condition. Sicipio is now enjoying an emotional reunion with family at his brother's home in a Philadelphia suburb.
Later in our newscast, find out which St. Paul restaurants failed recent health department inspections. That's in our restaurant check. And nearly 50 years ago, the day which will live in infamy.
I looked at Wheeler Field and it was all in flames, at that time, because they just strafed and bombed the field itself.
Hear from Minnesotans who watched the attack on Pearl Harbor, next in Straight to the Point. Tonight, you may have seen ABC's documentary on the Pearl Harbor attack. The David Brinkley special marked a coming together of American and Japanese TV to commemorate the 50th anniversary. But are we able to forgive each other for those 2 hours that changed the world? Stan Miller changed seats to get straight to the point on Pearl Harbor.
Angela, the attack on Pearl Harbor changed America and the way we think about war. Hundreds of Minnesota servicemen witnessed the Japanese attack on the Hawaiian island. Lauren Green talked with a few of them about that Sunday morning 50 years ago.
It's a day the president said would live in infamy. That catchy phrase, though, brings up more personal memories for the Minnesotans who served at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941.
And fear takes over, you're pretty frightened. We're wondering what's coming next, of course, and we're waiting for the Japanese fleet to come over the horizon and just take over, which there wouldn't have been much resistance to that.
We took 2 bombs, one hitting the centerline hatch where all those guys were passing up ammunition, killing all of those guys, and then another one further aft setting the ship on fire.
All at once I see this bursting sun come out there and hear this machine gun clatter, They were firing on the motor pools.
And all at once, young men who had joined the service for some adventure became mature beyond their years. Hundreds of them were from Minnesota, including Richard Thill, ship's cook 3rd class on the USS Ward, Seaman 1st Class Glenn Turner on the USS California, and Sergeant Michael Matusko of the 35th Infantry. They survived to tell a story that is now 50 years old. Phil was one of 85 Minnesotans stationed aboard the USS Ward. The ship fired the first American shot of World War II. It sank a Japanese midget sub an hour before the air attack began.
I don't think the crew in general had any idea that it was an enemy submarine to begin with. They just thought they were doing their duty because anything that came in there under those circumstances was fired upon.
The USS Ward was sunk a few years later in the war, but this is her gun number 3, and it rests right here in St. Paul near the Veterans Administration Building. And of course, it's a source of pride for Minnesota because it was this gun that fired the first shot, and the echo changed millions of lives.
The attack swept away American opposition to the war and helped unify the effort against the Japanese, some of them our own citizens. Dr. Gladys Stone is a St. Paul resident, but in 1941 she was an 18-year-old junior college student near Modesto, California. She and her family were forced to go to an internment camp.
Terrible. I was really bitter for the first few months. I was so surprised and overwhelmed by the whole experience because I thought of myself as an American of Japanese ancestry.
Emotions are running high during this 50th anniversary, and it raises the question, can we forgive and forget? And should we?
Only a pastor asks and says, will you forgive and forget? It's hard, you know. That's a very difficult question to answer. If I said, yeah, I can forgive and forget, I'd lie like heck. And then if I said I wouldn't, I'm still lying.
Well, I feel that, you know, let bygones be bygones. It's been 50 years.
But the veterans say America should never forget the lessons learned at Pearl Harbor, nor should we apologize for retaliating.
There's nothing more stupid than rules of war, I think. And war itself is one of the most stupid things that can happen. But you have to be prepared to fight it to protect yourself.
But the most important lesson is that we have to communicate and understand each other so that what happened 50 years ago will never happen again. Getting straight to the point, I'm Lauren Green.
And the U.S. government has issued a congressional medal honoring Pearl Harbor veterans. Minnesotans received theirs just a few weeks ago. Now some viewer comments about last night's story on the Sane Lane. Several viewers, like Tom from Brooklyn Park, think the incentives for drivers to use the express lane are unfair when other carpoolers pay $80 a month for parking.
I think it's very unfair that only carpoolers going on the 394 express lane get a $10 parking charge, whereas carpoolers coming in from other parts of the city do not get that same benefit.
Dan McQuaid from Hastings says the Sane Lane is insane.
As far as I'm concerned, the sane lanes aren't going to work. Minnesotans have to be forced into something where they're going to have to carpool or use some other mass transit.
Right now, 38% of the people using 394 use the Sane Lane. State officials would like to see 66% using it. And that's straight to the point. Back to you, Angela.
Thank you, Stan. We want to hear what you have to say about Pearl Harbor. Here's the number for our viewer comment line, 1-900-288-KSTP. You can call and leave a message, or you can call to hear what other viewers are saying. Each call costs 95 cents per minute. The star of tonight's home video weather question makes a roaring debut. Well, before I was interrupted a moment ago, this is what I was trying to say, so we're going to try this again. The star of tonight's home video weather question makes a roaring debut. Roy Hunn's wondering if we'll get more snow.
Hey, Dave, what's the weather going to be like?
Well, Dave Dahl zooms in with the forecast. Well, once again, it's a snow emergency time in the Twin Cities. In Minneapolis, there's no parking tonight on snow emergency routes. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. tomorrow, no parking on the odd side of streets and on parkways. In St. Paul, there's no parking tonight on snow emergency routes and the posted side of north-south streets. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., there's no parking on the non-posted side of north-south streets and no parking on east-west streets.
I guess if you have a snowmobile, it doesn't matter. You can park wherever you want, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. And the kind of weather we've been having, a lot of folks are asking, why in the heck is all this happening? And just to keep everybody informed about how much snow we've got and how close to the record we're getting, we have 5 snow gauge, and the 5 snow gauge will tell you after every measurable snow that we have here in the Twin Cities, we're going to show you just how close to the record we're getting, as if you need to know. 69 inches of snow right now. We are getting so close. We are only about 38 inches away from that record, and the way things have been going, everybody is asking, why? Why? What is going on across the upper Midwest? What's going on across a large section of the country? Well, we've been talking about El Nino, the warming of Pacific water. That's one reason, but how about Mount Pinatubo? The eruption of Mount Pinatubo happened early June over in the Philippines, and its gas and ash cloud is now the largest of the century. It now covers the low latitudes around the entire globe, and because of that, it is limiting about 7% of the incoming solar radiation at that level around the lower latitudes, and for that reason, it could give us a longer, a colder winter, and of course, it could bring us some more snow. That's just another possibility. One of the reasons why things are happening the way they are. It is very chilly out there again tonight. Thanks to the fresh blanket of snow and clear skies, 2 below already here in the Twin Cities, 7 below up in St. Cloud. Temperatures mainly below zero up in the northern and central part of the state thanks to the fresh blanket of snow along with clear skies. However, look what's going on down to the south. 2 above at Marshall and 0 at Rochester. Some of that warmer air is gradually pushing northward. Overnight tonight, we're going to see those temperatures steady off, probably around 3 to 4 below, and then gradually rise toward morning. Officially at the airport, we do have 2 below right now, dew point 5 below, 87% for the relative humidity. There is no wind. That's also helping it cool out. The air is calm right now. 30.13 is the barometric pressure. That is steady, and we have clear skies. Today's high temperature, 14 degrees, way shy of the average for the date. The current reading of 2 below is the low. Looks like we may go down a degree or two. And officially out at the airport, 3.9 inches of snow in the latest snow event. Sunset is now at 4:32. I'll tell you if there's more snow in the forecast. That's coming up next. Well, as one system moves away, clears our skies, another one enters from the northwest. That's a pretty big one. Clear skies for the time being, but clouds on the increase, and as we cloud up, we're going to warm up as well. Look at these temperatures out in the west, 60s across western South Dakota tomorrow. We're going to stay in the cool pocket, 20s and 30s, but that warmer air, as it pushes in our direction, will increase the cloud cover, and some light snow and flurries just on the leading edge of the warm air. Very warm and nice out over the western Dakotas. In the southeast, a very nice day. Lots of sunshine there. Some snow is forecast up around New York, and from there on into the northern Great Lakes. But for us overnight tonight, this is the way it reads. Partly cloudy skies, a little bit cooler, 0 to 5 below, but then those temperatures rebound toward morning back up to about 5 above, and there could be some light snow flurries again tomorrow morning around the rush hour. Then mostly cloudy skies, some light snow and flurries through the afternoon, 26 to 30 for highs, so that's warmer than we've seen the last couple of days. Cloudy for Friday night, 18 to 23. And the outlook for Saturday calls for freezing drizzle and some fog mixed in, so not a pretty outlook there. 28 to 32, though, for highs. As we look ahead, temperatures stay up in the 30s, but there is a possibility of getting some measurable snow sometime late Sunday into Monday, with highs still in the 30s, right on into Tuesday. So pretty nice temperatures when you have to deal with the warm air is more moisture.
Thank you, Dave. One St. Paul restaurant is in danger of losing its license. 5 on Your Side reporter Steve Filmer tells us about that and inspections of other St. Paul eateries. Here's tonight's Restaurant Check.
Health inspectors say Uncle Matthew's Deli at 1702 Grand Avenue should not be allowed to renew its restaurant license. Uncle Matt scored 65 out of 100 on its latest inspection in October, mainly for not keeping roast beef cold enough or chili hot enough. Many violations were second notices. City Council will meet in 2 weeks to decide whether Uncle Matt's should keep its license. A la Francais on North Lexington Parkway scored 50. It received second notices on nearly all violations, including evidence of live and dead roaches. By early November, A la Francais had cleaned up enough to earn a new score of 74, an acceptable mark. Finally, Four Paws at 276 South Exchange scored 70 on a routine visit. Inspectors found mice droppings as well as raw meat and fish stored above cooked food. Inspectors returned a month later and gave Four Paws a new score of 91. While 3 restaurants got low marks, 88 scored 90 or better, and of those high marks, 10 restaurants scored a perfect 100. On Your Side, I'm Steve Filmer, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Each year, we're proud to bring Minnesota families holiday greetings from loved ones serving in the military. Tonight, a special hello comes from an Army sergeant stationed in Korea.
Hi, my name's Sergeant Donald Cleveland. I'd like to send season's greetings and happy holidays from DMZ to Korea, Camp Liberty Bell, to my friends and family back home at Kenston. And I love you to my wife Karen, my kids Amanda, Ryan, Kevin, and Amy.
Joe's here with a look at sports. You know, I never really was convinced that Bill Parcells should have given up his day job when he went into the broadcast booth, but now maybe he might be leaning this way, you think?
I don't think they can give him enough money and not enough sun. The Viking job is not exactly the most appealing job in football these days. You've got a team that's getting older, no top draft choices, and a team that has less chemistry than an 8th grader. Maybe that's why Lou Holtz did not wait around to be offered the Viking job. Today, Lou Holtz buried any rumors that he's leaving the Notre Dame sideline. He signed a 5-year deal with the Irish today. Holtz said he signed a contract now because the rumors of his leaving Notre Dame would have hurt recruiting. In 6 years, Holtz won 55 games and 1 national title for the Irish. The Vikings are looking for a coach and are still trying to figure out who exactly owns what on the team. The Mike Lynn Group and the Irwin Jacobs group have been battling for years over this. NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue was hoping to step in and resolve some of the differences between the two groups. But in a document obtained by Eyewitness News, Tagliabue said the NFL has decided not to arbitrate. The two sides are expected to resume their battle in court this spring. College basketball season is starting to get to the point where the games mean a lot. Like tonight in Greensboro, the ACC Big East Challenge. #1 Duke against #7 St. John's. Duke, the defending national champion, and Christian Laettner, one of the best big men in the country, and look at him drain the three. Duke led 14-2 early on, and right now they lead by 70-47 in the second half. Right down the road from Greensboro is Charlotte, and that's where former Gopher Kevin Lynch can now call home. Lynch ended his holdout today when he signed a one-year contract. The offer was actually less than what he was offered this summer, but he said he's just happy to get it over with, and he hopes he can play some in his rookie season.
I might get an opportunity or two down the road, but I guess I'm not really counting on a lot of things this year. I'm just trying to learn the system.
You better learn that system in a hurry. He'll be activated for the Hornets game tomorrow night against the Chicago Bulls. The richest man in baseball finally got around to talking about his 5-year, $29 million contract. Bobby Bonilla says he thinks he'll be able to handle the pressure of living up to that big contract from the fans and that New York media.
That smile on my face, and like I said again, it's going to be hard to knock it off. I know you're going to try, but I don't know if it's going to happen. But I'm anxious, and I'm ready to get going. I'm just happy to be here.
The winter baseball meetings start this weekend in Florida, so there could be more big money contracts signed over the next few days. As we head into the dog days of the winter season, don't forget about your dog. Eric Gislason has that story in tonight's Great Outdoors.
These are the faces of hunters that would like to hunt year-round. And yet, as the seasons wind down, professional dog trainer Tom Dokken insists there's no time like the present to wind up your hunting dog work. Good basic obedience skills? Yes. But above all, supplemented activity at a time of the year your dog may need it most.
I think what happens is all of a sudden these dogs go through week after week of hunting, and the more you hunt, your dog catches onto it. They start figuring out, you know, you're going to the truck, but now you're going to the grocery store. You're not going out hunting. We've got some super cold weather here, and your dog is going to require more. You've got to up his feed. He needs a little more bulk.
Remember, what your hunting dog lives for, what Dokken's Black Lab Otter dreams about, is about to be largely removed.
You've got to make a reason to get the dog out. And if you feel that you're cheating your dog a little bit by not taking him out, maybe gives you a little more reason to do it. You can take your dog with you cross-country skiing. If you go ice fishing, give him a chance to get out and do something with you.
Tom Dokken's message is sound and simple. You've worked so hard to get your dog ready for the hunting season. Now that it's winding down, with the exception of hunting preserves, don't stop working with the lad. I'm Eric Gislason, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, Northfield.
My dog loves the snow, but he doesn't listen like Tom's dogs do.
He doesn't like to hang out with you in the off season, does he? Thanks, Joe.